Herbs are good for everything. Why these people who want to do so much good?
You can't tell me I can't smoke herb. You like, why, why I can't smoke it? Tell me why.
Why them say you must not use the herb? You see? And we check that and we can't find, we just see them just say, no, you mustn't use it because it make you rebel. Against what?
The words that you love from me, I mean my father, the words that you love of my father came from his existence, which is which are like a sacrament to us.
What did Bob Marley represent? Was he a threat to the powers that be? And how did he affect the world's perception of this plant? Today we're diving deep into the life and legacy of the one and only Bob Marley, the Rastafarian movement, as well as the Marley family. Now, Bob Marley was a force to be reckoned with, a symbol of truth, justice, and unity in the world full of chaos. Marley and the Rastafarianism, namely the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church, helped expand the Jamaican brand from its sunny shores to its plants. The latter even helped sustain the nation, and while I'm not saying anything definitively, it might make sense that a certain global power would want to take out a cultural icon spreading peace, love, and the planet said global power is trying to suppress. Anyways, this is High Design History. Please make sure to hit the like button, share this, comment down below, and make sure to follow me on all the social medias. Anyways, this is LMC. Let's run it.
How important is the ganja to a Rasta man?
Ganja is a bird, this is herb.
Herb. Does it matter to you that it's still against the law here in Jamaica?
Every law is illegal.
Every law is illegal.
Every government upon the face of this earth today is illegal.
An emblem of unity, prosperity, and spirituality. Bob Marley embraced Rastafarian practices, including using cannabis as a sacrament. Better known as the herb or ganja, Rastas consider the plant a natural gift from the earth. And Marley used this platform as an artist and activist to promote ganja and the peaceful ways of Rastafari to the world. As a result, Marley became an iconic figure in the black civil rights and counterculture movements, which potentially could have allegedly led to his tragic death.
Do you think that you can, do you think that you can get that message across to this generation? Because especially this generation, because we don't have Malcolm X, or very few people even know who Marcus Garvey is. Do you feel like you can make a dent, especially in the American generation?
Well, it's have to happen, because I can see it daily. I go out there and I see 5 Rasta man, and all of them talk like American. That means maybe I can say them was born here. For them children, it's the same thing. Now in the last flood, when only Noah and them 3 sons and couple wives did save, multiply all of these people. So it is happening, man. Right now you have more people, more Rasta, more than when Noah did save with in the last flood.
Now, still, Marley's timeless music and message of unity, prosperity, and spirituality resonate long after his passing, inspiring new generations of artists, activists, and everyday people. Bob Marley lives on.
His daughter, she's 23 years old, so thank you again, Coach. Thank you so much, Coach. Respect.
So, the Marley family, with their diverse talents and unwavering commitment to community and sustainability, are making their mark across various fields. His children, notably his son Rohan, is carrying on his tradition and championing the healing properties of the plant and the benefits of sustainability and overall unification. In many ways, Bob Marley unified people through his music, and Rohan wants to continue that by unifying people with this plant, as well as his siblings doing the same thing.
Do you, people see, your dad, your family as, the Cannabis family, a massive representation of,
Oh, well, of course.
Did he, choose that, or was that kind of put upon him because of the time frame, you know what I'm saying?
No, but we don't choose anything. You choose, but choose it meaning not like, oh, we're gonna be the Cannabis family. No, it's life. So
talking about his real life.
Yeah, it's life. So we're just that, and we're kings. So you can't tell me I can't smoke herb. The fuck you mean you gonna tell me I can't? Why? You like, like, why, like, hey, why I can't smoke it? Tell me why. You drinking shit, why I can't?
Herbs are good for everything. Why these people who want to do so much good for everyone, who call themselves governments and this and that, why them say you must not use the herb? You see? And we check that and we can't find, we just see them just say, no, you mustn't use it because it make you rebel. Against what? I don't care who the guy is. Because my right is my right, like my life. You know, all I have is my life.
So, let's talk about the man himself, Bob Marley. So he was born in 1945 in the small rural village of 9 Mile, Jamaica. Bob's roots were a mix of cultures. His father, Norval Marley, was a white British Army captain, and his mother, Cedella Booker, was a black Jamaican woman, a singer, writer, and activist. Growing up in poverty, facing racism and political oppression, Bob's music and activism were deeply influenced by the struggle he witnessed firsthand. Now, despite these challenges, he found joy and an outlet in music. And in 1963, him, Peter Tosh, and Bunny Wailer formed the Wailers. Now, during this time, Marley would begin to use his life experiences in his lyrics. So, let's start at the very beginning. The Rastafari movement started brewing in Jamaica during the early 20th century. Now, rebelling against oppressive colonialism, Rastafaris called for African liberation and black pride. Rastafarians believed in the divinity of Haile Selassie I, the Emperor of Ethiopia. They saw him as the chosen one who could lead black people to freedom and redemption. Among their deep, nuanced beliefs, Rastafarians believed in living in harmony with nature, growing their hair into dreadlocks, and smoking ganja as a sacred sacrament used to reach the spiritual level. Now, Bob Marley, a Christian, was feeling the ways of the Rastafari, and he was drawn to the church's teachings, fully embracing the religion in the late 60s. He'd eventually embrace ganja sacraments so much as well that he'd be reported to start smoke about a pound of herb each week. Now, along the way, a ton of other reggae artists joined the movement, embracing the church's teachings and spreading the word across the world. Now, the combination of reggae, Rastafari, its mansions, and the Jamaican ganja economy being smuggled into the US became a powerful economic force for Jamaica. See, Marley and the other artists like Tosh, Wailer, Jimmy Cliff, Toots, Maytals, and many others gained international recognition as reggae interest surged. And then support for Rastafari and cannabis sacraments grew as well, even though Marley would still have to defend the plant to international journalists and detractors his entire life, like this.
Rastafarianism is very popular in Jamaica, yet in Canada, the United States, it has a bad reputation. People are associated with trafficking of men and violence, police arrest.
Yeah, man, them crucified Christ, remember? Christ was a Christian and them crucified Christ, him is not what
No,
it is.
but let's go back to the facts. People have been arrested, and the Rastafarians in Toronto, for example, have a very bad reputation.
I wouldn't say that the Rastafarians have a bad reputation. I would say people give the Rastafarians bad reputation because the Rastafarians, all of these things happening before the Rastafarians even start coming to Canada anyway around here.
But the things that are very obvious are things like the way you look, right? To most people who are very conservative in dress, you look quite strange. Plus the fact that you advocate smoking marijuana.
Yeah, you did this. I'll show you this now. Could they tell God that it's not legal?
No, but
they couldn't tell God that it's
you
not
have a
legal.
very strong religious belief, but other people don't necessarily share that. And what they see are the obvious things. And isn't it, in fact, true that many Jamaican people get involved in the trafficking of marijuana and therefore get the bad reputation associated with Rastafarians?
People get trafficking. You see, I don't really know anything about those parts of life. All I know about is Rastafari, and try bringing this truth to the people. What the people do with them life, I don't really know about that. I know about my own.
Okay, what is your own? What's your music to you?
The music to me. The music is more than music to me. It go further than music, It go with I don't know, it further than music.
But you used it as a strong message. Words like a hungry man is an angry man.
The music used me.
Whatever it is, there's no doubt Bob Marley knows how to use his music. 12,000 people, more than half of them white, came to hear him perform, and in a trance-like mystical state, he carried them with him and left them shouting for more. Despite this obvious commercial success, he appears to live the life he preaches. What do you do with the money that you make? Do you take it back to Jamaica? Do you give it to the people?
I give it away.
You give all your money away?
All the time.
How do you survive?
Oh, Rastafari is God.
How do you feel the people of Jamaica see you as a musician?
See me, the people of Jamaica never see me. We show the people of Jamaica Rastafari.
No. Do they like you?
If the people like me, yeah, the people love I. The people love I, the people make I.
During reggae's peak, waves of tourists flocked to the island to take in the music, culture, and the herb. Now, what's really interesting is that during the 70s, Jamaica had this rise in obviously the different Rastafarian subsects that were within the religion. But because ganja was a sacrament, and because obviously Jamaica was extremely worldwide famous because of people like Bob Marley for this ganja, groups like the Zion Coptic Church began to appear and start to make hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. By the way, if you haven't checked out the video that I did on the Zion Coptic Church and Brother Love, I highly recommend you go and watch that.
Cannabis has always been there every day, you know. From how I really started in cannabis was when I would, my father, you know, he cut up the herb on the surrey board, and then when they funneled the herb, because then time I had seeds. I was eating the seeds off the table at like 4 years old. I'm eating the seeds all the.
What year? Like your roughly was this around? Like this?
1976.
Okay. So is this around the like Zion Coptic Church era, like the?
Yeah, like they're like them times. Yeah. Like they're early them time. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's crazy because like you look into that whole story, it's like they had this. I call it the biggest illegal cannabis corporation.
Absolutely, of all times.
Of all time, no one's even close to it.
Of all times. Nobody's even close to that.
Yeah, and then you know the governor or the president of Jamaica, what's his name?
Michael Manley.
No, the other one.
Edward Siaga?
Yeah, Siaga. He said way back when, he's like, without the Zion Coptic Church and like Jamaica's economy didn't collapse.
Yeah.
Like that's how great. Like.
No, those guys. Listen.
So tell me about
those guys. So growing up, you hear about that, man. Those guys own the mountains, man. They control everything. Today, one of my friends there is actually from that era, you know, yeah, and I just love hearing his stories. I just love talking to him. I mean, he got crazy stories about the planes landing and the soldiers chasing them. And I mean, I love it because you see the soldier, so that's why I have it in my old story lineage. You see the soldier copter cutting down all the herb field. So man, you know, just learning about that, being a part of that as a youth, being in the era, not being a part of it, but being in the era.
I think, like you benefit, like, because you're growing up after that time, so like there's
in that time,
schools built on that.
In that time,
yeah.
And I remember moving to Miami, and the part of the Coptic movement people, they lived in that community we lived in.
Oh, were you on Star Island?
Oh no, but Pinecrest. Okay. See, he lived in Star Island, but then Monica and then, you know, the rest of the Pinecrest where my grandmother lived. So that's how my dad. So my dad would, he knows the story. No, he knows the story. So that's how, and I would go over there because the lady. I mean, remember, my dad, you know, Bob and things. So it's like the superstar thing. You know, Bob and they're superstars too. You know, when she goes by the car, she's buying 3 Benz because she liked the boat colors. Like that.
No, I kind of called them like, I mean, they had like 500 trucks.
Yeah.
They had like 500 shit. Like they had like.
It's super huge, man.
But just to give you a little synopsis of these different groups and exporting of Jamaican culture / ganja over into the United States, let's go over some of these numbers. So, over time, numerous groups or mansions grew out of Rastafari. You may be familiar with mansions like the Bobo Ashanti or the 12 Tribes of Israel. But one we're focusing on for this story is the Ethiopian Zion Coptic Church. Now, they were born in the 1950s, right? And the teachings were based off of Jamaican activist Marcus Garvey. By 1975, the movement had grown to be gaining incorporated status in Florida. But by 1979, the group was convicted of smuggling weight from Jamaica to Miami, and the US looked at this as a grave offense due to the war on illicit substances and also potentially ulterior motives, which is also interesting because 2 years later, that is actually when Bob Marley would pass away, unfortunately, but we'll get to that. When you listen to Jamaican Prime Minister Edward Seaga, he saw it differently. He said, quote, "It's just a little sensimilla," adding that the sales actually helped keep Jamaica financially afloat for the decade because they were already going through a massive economic struggle. Now, despite global pressure, Jamaica continued to be linked to the production, sales, and distribution of this plant. A nation that was hit hard economically, the plant represented a force of economic stability for many. With the fertile soil and favorable climate for production, ganja was in demand and many Jamaican communities used it to stay up and prosper. Now, meanwhile, Bob Marley served as the figurehead of the global movement to a certain degree. Much of the world began to link the famous musician with movements helping reverse the public perceptions and stigmas of this plant, which also poses why potentially, that the CIA thought that he was so much of.
I don't want that or I don't want this. When I check it out, the biggest man was a baby one time. So I don't know where him get all of these big ideas, want to be rulers over people. You see? And help enforce devilism. Can't dig it. Can't take it. We're rebel, man. We're revolutionaries, you know?
Is that the way you'd see yourself?
Yeah, I see myself as a revolutionary who don't have no help and not take no bribe from no one. I fight it single-handed with music. I don't come to bow, I come to conquer. I don't come to bow, I come to conquer. My home is always where I am.
Now, following back in with the story of Bob Marley, let's talk more about his family. So, Bob Marley had 12 children across the globe. And so they include musicians, including Ziggy, Damien, and Stephen. But let's shine a light on Rohan Marley.
Yeah. Like, did who your father, what, bro? Those are gigantic, bro. They say filling some man's shoes.
I hear you, but
bro,
I told
your
you,
daddy's shoes, we in Miami right now. Them shoes is from here to Nashville, Tennessee. Sure. That's Bob Marley. You caught me probably Toronto somewhere. Like, bro, that, bro, I don't know. Y'all let me know. Hey, I'll tell y'all, is there any shoes bigger to fill than what Ro had to fill? Bob Marley is one of the biggest names globally.
I don't. That's not the discussion.
Right.
The discussion to me is right. This is how we end it. This is to me is. Talk to me about Lion's Order. Talk to me about your resort. Talk to me about the headphones. Talk to me about the coffee. You want me to keep going?
Right.
Do you want me to keep going? So it's your own legacy. You feel me? Like, you want me to keep going? Yeah. You want me to keep, I
the
get
legacy
it.
that he's trying to portray.
It ain't no trying. What you mean trying?
No, I'm saying.
That lion's about to come.
Y'all gonna keep biting y'all teeth together. I know, I'm not hating, I'm just saying.
What I'm saying, let me answer your
question. Did that grind come from those shoes you had to fill?
I gotta answer your question right now.
Yeah.
So being that I was Bob's son all my life, I don't know any other way. But what I do know is that I got brothers and sisters. Like I have to carry myself a certain way because I got to answer to them. But it's not because of the mission and the righteousness and the truth and what we do. What I see my brothers do is an example. They're an example to myself. So you speak about my father's shoes. We can never fill those shoes, but we still exist. We're still his children, so we just continue the legacy and the foundation that was built upon, you know what I'm saying?
So, born in 1972, Rohan grew up in the presence of his father and the wise Rastafarian elders. But here's the thing, Rohan didn't just sit back and soak up those life lessons. He lived it, learning and growing on his own terms. Rather than soak in his dad's quotes like millions have, Rohan set out to live and learn. More on him in a bit.
Do you think, you've been playing in Jamaica for 10 years, probably longer than that, before you became worldwide known. Do you think that the music that you played has had an effect on Jamaica itself? Have you seen a change?
Well, that's about us.
We really know.
Yeah.
We really create
this music affect everywhere, man. This is the music where the Jamaica people dance to. This is the music them listen to. When you say my music, no, I say reggae music. The whole music put together is that the people them deal with. Now, for some man who really deal with the strong part of the message, really get over Marcus Garvey and where all of them man there, we still continue upon that road.
But dark days lay ahead, testing the family's faith and perseverance. In December 1976, Bob and his bandmates were preparing for the Smile Jamaica concert, a supposedly non-political event in Kingston aimed at ending the growing violence in the country. See, Marley remained apolitical, right, between two different parties. But Prime Minister Michael Manley, represented the Socialist People's National Party, sought to capitalize on what some saw as Marley's support for the PNP. So he would schedule that concert on the exact same day, which at the time infuriated Marley because he knew what they were trying to do and he tried to make it look like he was supporting the PNP when it was not the case at all. And so this actually proved to be nearly deadly for the Marley family. On December 3rd, 2 days before the concert, Bob Marley, his wife Rita, and others were ambushed by 7 gunmen at their house at 56 Hope Road. The attack is believed to have been orchestrated by the Jamaican Labour Party supporters and candidate Edward Sega.
Bob Marley, the world's leading exponent of reggae music, has agreed to appear in a major free concert to be held for the benefit of the Jamaican people in Kingston on Sunday, December 5th. The announcement was made at a press conference held at Jamaica House by Marley, his manager Don Taylor, and the parliamentary secretary in charge of cultural information, Arnold Bertram. 2 weeks following that announcement, on November 22nd, United Press International reported that Jamaica's Prime Minister Michael Manley called new general elections for December 15th, appealing for calm in a campaign so far marked by violence and death. The election would be held with the country under a state of emergency imposed by the Prime Minister in June to counter a wave of gunfights between terrorists loosely affiliated with two political parties.
Here now is a special item of news from the JBC newsroom. Entertainer and reggae star Bob Marley, Rita Marley, and the manager of the Wailers, Don Taylor, are now patients in the University Hospital after receiving gunshot wounds during a shooting incident which took place at Marley's home at 56 Hope Road tonight. Police said the group was rehearsing for the Smile Jamaica concert when 4 men traveling in a white Toyota car drove up and fired shots.
No, we had just gone through Soldier saying we were starting on Natty Great, Natty Jerry. So just as we finish the introduction and get into the tune, we're bang bang, and broke loose.
The men escaped and were chased by the police. Mr. Taylor is said to be in a critical position while Bob Marley was shot in the arm. The condition of Rita is not yet known. In an interview with JBC News at the hospital, Bob Marley said he and members of his group received numerous threats since the announcement of the Smile Jamaica concert.
In the kitchen was a peel of breadfruit and all me is gunshot.
So you see any other man that fired a shot then?
No, I never seen no man who fired a shot.
Who else was among the group? You have any form of security at your place?
Well, no, we never really keep no guard. We don't know war with nobody, you know, we just live free. So somebody feel like the Smile Jamaica concert shouldn't go on, so them try and stop it.
You had any threats before?
Yeah, probably the threats, yeah.
You know where these threats have come from?
If me know where them come from?
Yeah, you have any idea?
Well, I don't feel I want to talk about that right now still.
See, alright. About the concert now, what do you believe about the concert? Do you think it is on or not? What do you believe?
Concert? Well, some of the members, them decides them not go already because them can't understand
Prime Minister Manley said in a statement today that he was shocked at the attack on the group that was rehearsing for the Smile Jamaica concert being co-sponsored by Mr. Marley and the cultural section of his office.
Brothers and sisters of God and His word is love.
He said all Jamaica is relieved that the shooting incident did not result in any fatality, but is extremely concerned over the condition of the 3 who are now in hospital. Meanwhile, the Joint Police Military Command Information Center has reported that an intensive investigation is now being conducted into the shooting incident last night, in which Bob Marley and 3 other persons were shot and injured. Reports reaching the security forces now say that 7 gunmen were involved in the shooting.
Those behind last night's gangsterism wanted to scare people away from the free concert because Marley's music identified oppressors, defended change, and helped people to know themselves.
Political violence has become a very emotive issue in this election campaign. There have been charges and counter-charges, but a far more serious political question is posed by those who insist that incidents like the shooting of Bob Marley is part of a plot to destabilize Jamaica and halt the progress of what they see as democratic socialism.
Now, CIA's involvement has long been alleged, with many believing that the CIA and others in power felt threatened by Bob's growing influence and message of liberation and the influx of Jamaican ganja into America. Bob's never been alleged to have smuggled any weed into America. He did also kind of represent it in a certain way. But really what he represented too is he represented unification. And with any empire, they don't ever want to see people unify. Just kind of like today. They like to divide and conquer us. But see, miraculously, after this whole shooting, right, Bob and Rita and everyone had survived after having a couple different surgeries. And everyone was begging him not to go out there and perform, but he lived up to his commitment, and he actually performed 2 days later after the shooting, putting on a 90-minute set, which could be considered one of his most important concerts of his entire life. And also represents unification, and that's what Bob Marley really stands for. Unification, peace with everyone, and powers that be, they don't want to see us unified, they want to see us divided.
You've been doing good all along, keep on doing it, Brother Bobby.
JBC, the flagship station of Jamaica.
The Smile Jamaica concert will be held this afternoon at 5 in the National Heroes Park and will take place as a tribute to Bob Marley. Prime Minister Manley has expressed his deep regret at the act of terrorism directed against Bob Marley and his associates, and has said those responsible for the act would never be forgiven by decent people of Jamaica.
Although Marley was not expected to appear, the crowd began building early, and by 5 p.m. was 50,000 strong. Don Taylor was removed from the critical list, and Rita Marley joined Bob in the mountains. With the arrival of a police escort that night and efforts to regroup the Wailers in progress, Marley decided to go down and perform at least one song for the anxious crowd, which by 8 p.m. has grown to over 80,000.
Well, good evening, folks. I'm happy to be part of what's happening this evening in the midst of so much fear. Right now, I'd like to pay a tribute to a very great Jamaican.
We're coming down with the superintendent of police. We'll be out of communication for a bit, but get the cameras ready. The shooter's arrival.
We have just received word that Bob is on his way.
Now, in 1980, Bob Marley was diagnosed with a form of skin cancer, acral litiginous melanoma. He continued performing, spreading the message of love and unity until his passing in 1981, 2 years after the Coptics were arrested with Brother Love. And Bob Marley was only just 36 years old. But you know what they say, the legend never dies. Like all Rastas, Bob was an ardent supporter of the plant and its unifying powers. His spirit helped spread the word to millions around the world. With his passing, the focus eventually shifted towards the new generations of Marley children, who have more now than ever lived up to their dad's name by promoting unity, community, and sustainability through ganja. One of the only things that seems to unify people across party lines, especially today in America.
Smoke. So when all them car pass, although you live in the city, you don't hear it because you're thinking. Differently if you just live so. Then, you know what I mean, the whole world confused you and you're worried and you don't have no time to think. And herb is a thing that give you a little time for yourself so you can live. if you use it. The more you accept herbs, the more you accept Rastafari. You dig what I say? We who accept herb is important, but herb is more important to the people who don't accept it yet because that is the reality. I mean, it's not selling something that you crave, but you check it in your sense and say, herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Why these people who want to do so much good for everyone, who call themselves governments and this and that, why them say you must not use the herb? You see? And we check that and we can't find, we just see them just say, no, you mustn't use it because it make you rebel. Against what? I don't care who the guy is. Because my right is my right, like my life. You know? All I have is my life.
Let's shift the spotlight to Rohan Marley. So after his father's death, Rohan embarked on his own journey. He headed to the United States, chasing his dreams of playing college soccer. But the US schools weren't offering many soccer scholarships those days, and so he ended up actually focusing on US football in high school, and eventually earning a scholarship to the University of Miami, better known as the U. Playing alongside guys like Ray Lewis and even The Rock, Rohan, an outside linebacker, led the team in tackles in 1993.
Yo, this is Rohan Marley from the U, University of Miami.
Now fast forward a bit, and we find Rohan Marley making moves in the business world. In 2007, he founded Marley Coffee, making the opportunity to purchase back some of his family's land. After buying the land, he learned that the coffee was the primary crop, and thus Marley's Coffee was born. And the farm is a testament to the community, with Marley working with the local farmers to share crops and in the venture's success.
I'm down in Jamaica, and I'm starting Marley Coffee. I couldn't sing. No, really and truly though, right? I said one day, you know, because I'm an athlete, right? That's what I do. I play football. I wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to play for Jamaica national team, soccer, right? So both sports. So, but the thing was, I'm getting injuries, right? So I'm like, fuck, I gotta figure this shit out. I remember, like, I was in the clothing. I created a tough clothing company in LA. I was living in Los Angeles. I remember my brother said to me, like, I was like, yo, man, I want to design this line of clothing. I want to design a clothing company. He's like, yeah? Well, all right. $8,000, and I'm going to use my seamstress going to come over, and she can help you. But I need to ask you a question, because I moved to LA because I wanted to try for the LA Galaxy. Because I injured myself in Jamaica while I was on the farm and such. I was trying. A lot of shit happened to me. But my brother Ziggy said to me, he says, I'm gonna give you this $8,000. The seamstress is coming over, but I gotta ask you a question. Business or football? I said, what you mean? In my mind, I'm like, how the fuck is my brother gonna ask me about, and he knows how much I love football. But I'm like, damn, I'm 32 years old. I got 31 or something. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are gonna tell me I'm too old. They're gonna sit me on the bench because they're gonna wanna play a younger kid. And I'm gonna be frustrated. And I already know this because I know what frustration feels like playing for the University of Miami when there's a young kid and they wanna get him on the field, and you know, it's just the name of the game. It's just how it works. It's just the name of the game. Like, you're a senior, they got a kid coming in, you're leaving, they want to play this guy. But you,
5-star recruits, and
but they want to play this guy, and you're on your way out. So you need to develop this guy because he's the next.
He's the next one up.
Hey, next one up, and you're on your way out. So it's like, where's the transition in time? But you need your playing time because you're trying to make a name for yourself, and you gotta get on. You gotta be playing and all this shit. I said, all right, business. And then I started the business.
Well, like, I mean, I always say it's like, what happens when, you know, a musician or more so an athlete, when they retire, what do they all want to be? Like they all end up wanting to be entrepreneurs, you know?
But and then back up the story a little bit. When Lauren Hill, we have 5 children together. So after my college career, I jumped on tour with my brothers. I was like, fuck this football shit. I want to get into music. I want to be a roadie. I want to be a manager to my brothers. I'm saying, so I want to learn how to be a manager. So I'm there on the road. I'm fucking carrying bags. I'm on a different tour bus. I'm like getting off, picking up their bags right after college. Like, what the fuck is Road doing? He was so good at football. Why is he not fucking trying to play football? Like, I'm done with that shit because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I can't do this forever. I can't play football forever. Like, I'm like, and I'm small again, and just it's not the same shit in the pros. So I did that. I'm with Lauren now, and I'm helping her with her career, with her miseducation. I'm taking her to meet my brothers, music, and I'm driving her around. You know, I'm being also like a right-hand man, as well as dad to the newborn. She says to me one day, man, she's like, let me ask you something. What do you do? I say, what the fuck do you mean what I do? You don't see me taking care of these fucking, like, you know, I say, you don't see me with all the children around and all this shit. And I'm like, well, you know something, what the fuck do I do? Like, I can't play football, I can't play soccer. I had $200,000. And this guy's like, hey man, there's a farm in Jamaica that belongs to the Marley family. I said, yeah, how much is it? It's $200,000. I said, well, all right, I can entertain that. So I fly to Jamaica, I see the land like this, you know. I go on the property, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's a river, there's all these fruit trees, there's all this shit on the front. So I'm like, you know what? I want this, give it to me. I can make mangosteen, I can create fucking pineapple juice or some shit. But not knowing that the guy that's selling me the land is offloading the land on me because he couldn't get to do what he wanted to do because of all the restrictions with the license to do, it's just a lot of red tape, right? But I don't know that shit. I'm a young entrepreneur, seeing an opportunity like, yeah. So he's like, take it. So we're walking off the property and all the communities, they're standing on the land, you know, because they haven't seen this previous owner for 2 years. So they want their money because they've been working this land. All he said to them was, hey guys, let me introduce you to the new owner.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Just hand it over the back. Hand it over.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Dusting the hands and walked away.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Let me introduce you to the new owner. Rohan Marley, one of Bob Marley's sons. They had machetes and shit, but when he said Rohan Marley, Bob Marley's son, I saw a little smirk, like, so I said, all right. My dad represents hope, you know, like, okay, Bob is gonna help us, Bob is gonna fix this, Bob's son's gonna fix this shit, so in their minds, Bob is the son's gonna make it work. I knew that they meant that when they smiled, you know, but I didn't know what the fuck to say. But all I could think of is like, okay, you're at ground zero. How do you begin? What do you say? I said, the first thing out of my mouth was like, let me ask you something. What is the community known for? Because I'm like, all right, you're a Rasta man, this is a farm. What do you do now? How do you process this? I said, let me ask you something. What's the community known for? They said, coffee. I say, coffee like oil? Well, so I can't believe this, right? Like, I can't believe what I'm hearing. So I'm like, no. because there was like a Provoker road that splits the two land A, land B, and there's a road that goes up into the hills. So I'm thinking that, all right, the community, they must live up in the hills. They must be talking about up in the hills. So I said, no. What's on my property? They say coffee. Blue Mountain Coffee, Mr. Marley. I said, yeah? Wow. He said, you know anything about coffee? He said, we've been farming coffee all our lives. I said, well, we're in the coffee business.
And you did damn well with it, if I remember my research, right?
Yeah, so that's how I got into the coffee game. So I had to learn how to farm. This was 1999. I launched the company in 2010. So I had to learn, this is how I ended up in Ethiopia. I had to learn how to farm. I had to learn how to plant, the soil, how to feed the soil, how to circle forward, day workers, task workers, full-time workers. And the first thing I say to them, I say, how much you guys getting paid? I wanted until I get them. I said, oh, Mr. Marley, they give us only $6,000 a fortnight. $6,000 was like shit money. I said, you know what? I double it. I double the pay right now. I remember, I have no business plan. All I'm thinking about, I can do this because it's what, I can do this with my allowance in my pocket, but I got a fucking family to feed, and so I'm just going at it because I'm like, what else am I gonna do? I'm gonna let the fucking cherries fall on the ground? I like, what am I do? I have fucking coffee on the, I'm in the coffee game now. I gotta go for it. But how am I gonna get into the coffee business? What do you know about coffee? I said, well, in my mind, he said, what the fuck do you know about coffee? I said, I don't know about coffee, but I'm a Rasta man, and I know that I'm ITIL, meaning I'm organic. So whatever is on my farm, I gotta eat what's on my property. So you know what? Don't use any chemicals on the land. So I was like the first guy to have an organic farm, a coffee farm in Jamaica, certified. It took me 7 years to get it certified. Yeah, so I had to go through all that process. So I was like, you know, that's it. So the guy was like, and Mr. Marley, the previous owner, is like, you see this guy? Don't hire this guy because he's a thief. I said, what the fuck? I just bought this land. How is this gonna work? I said, let me ask you something in front of the guy. I said, let me ask you something. Why is this man calling you a thief? They said, well, Mr. Marley, every time we work on the land and we will be hungry, and we eat a mango from the tree because they're growing coffee. He was trying to develop coffee. That's why he failed. He didn't get a license, but you know, the restrictions. We eat a mango from the tree. We eat a banana from this. He says that we're stealing from him. I say, oh yeah? I say, that's it? I say, that's it? I said, all right. So I started to calculate in my mind. All right. I say, I'm the only one here. It's my money. Like, no one should be mad at me if I do what I want to do. It's my money. I'm the only one here now. No one else has an idea about this. I bought this land. I say, you know something? I only eat like one mango a week. I eat one mango a week. I probably a pineapple a month or such and such. You know what? Take everything and give it to the community, and we're gonna farm coffee. Let coffee be the business. Everything else you take it, because guess what? It's gonna fall on the ground anyway. It's just, and fuck, I'm not in the mango business. I'm not farming mango. I'm not coming picking up mango. I live in New Jersey. The guys that I'm hiring, they have 1 acre, and this is my 52 acre. He has 1 acre. He can put his fucking foot on his land and my land while I'm in. It's more their acres than mine. It's more their property than it is my property. So I say to myself, you know something? You ain't taking this fucking land nowhere. This is a community land. All you have is this little plot within this to make something of this, to build something sustainable, and to kind of just become a man and like learn to build community.
Any good business, I think, in my opinion, any sort of good movement, it's all about community.
Yeah, that's how I started out.
That, gives back to the community.
That's how I started out, creating jobs and shit. Farm never made me no money. I had to go to Ethiopia.
But it helped.
It's my vision. No, it's my vision. Yeah. So it was my vision, and my whole drive in life was to pay those people.
Absolutely.
Double their wages was all I had to think about, whether the farm made money or not, and I still do today.
But Rohan ain't stopping at coffee, my friends. In 2020, he launched his first weed venture, Marley Naturals. And in 2022, he took it a step further, launching a Michigan brand called Line Order. Now, Rohan isn't doing it like most celeb brands either. With a hand in selecting each strain and packaging, he's committed to extending the legacy of the Marley name, Rastafari, and the healing powers of the plant. Really, he's heavily involved, and he actually cares about this plant because of how important of a role it's played in his life, his family's life, and obviously his father's life.
To grow, it's important to be happy. Growth is a key, no matter what.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, it feels like as long as you keep your principles.
And you have, that's where you grow on, because you have to master self, and your core principles are yourself, right? And when you have these thoughts, if the magic is, if you can manifest your thoughts and make your thoughts a reality, that's the science of life.
And so there you have it, fam. The whirlwind journey of Bob Marley, the Rastafari movement, and the Marley family and their relationship with this plant. The legacy and the name of Bob Marley will resonate today, inspiring generations to get up, stand up for their rights, as well as unity, economic prosperity, and spirituality. As for Rohan Marley, well, he's carrying that torch, building his own path while staying true to the Marley family name. Something he told me he cares immensely about and has a lot of pressure and pride for.
I think that's a really good point too, because now that the weed game is becoming commercialized and legalized, a lot of people preach community and do that, but like really beyond a press release, they're not really doing anything. Back it up. And I know you talked about sustainability a lot in the last interview. What does it say about you and not even just your brand, but just your ethos and what you're trying to carry into cannabis?
Well, all those things are dreams and visions, right? In regards to keeping up the community and stuff, because to do that, you need resources to be able to make those decisions, right? To say, all right, I have $300,000 surplus. What am I gonna do with it? With my soul now, I say, all right, you know what? Why don't we go to Jamaica and donate that to the school, or So, but that's the vision, is really to build something that you can create more. So that's really why it is. Right now, those are ideas, but it's...
Big start small though.
Yeah. So first I want to create the infrastructure here, develop the right profile, the right consistency, my packaging, the right magic, the right love, the right words into it, the right people, and then take that now to the consumer. Then hopefully that can generate a movement, and people love what I'm doing, love the vibe, just like they love another man's herb. This is my herb. This is what I like to smoke. Oh, that's just like you go to this one to eat or this restaurant to eat. It's the same thing, because some people have wine, some people, there's like all different kind of things around, So I just wanted to introduce something the way I care about it. Some of the principles that I have as a human being in life, and doing things a certain way that represents not only my culture, but my legacy, because that's what we are, because we say herb is our sacrament, and we say herb is our medicine, so we just want to share the medicine too.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this High Design History episode. If you guys like this episode, please drop a comment, let us know what you guys liked about it. Please share this. Please go follow me on all social medias. The links are down below in the description. Anyways, this is LMC, signing out. Yay!